There's bipartisan support on this. It does set the standards for responsible bidders. And in this ordinance change, it does require the contractors to provide proof of legal registration, tax compliance, workers' comp insurance. It requires them to pay prevailing wage and follow labor laws. It also requires them to have a substance abuse policy, also participating, I'm trying too fast here, in OSHA safety training, requires them to use approved apprenticeship programs, and also disclose their past project performance and legal safety violations. As far as the local preference goes, I feel that the county board members had mentioned some pretty good ideas and suggestions. And also I would like the opportunity for our chief of staff, our state's attorney's office, and also your legal counsel to come up with some maybe possibly some better and tighter language for the local preference portion. So I would like to make that amendment on this ordinance.
So there's a motion to amend item number 4. Is there a second to the amendment? I think he gave you a copy to the, no?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
so why don't you repeat what the amendment, yeah.
So my amendment is to take the local preference portion.
What color is it in the
I think
sheet?
it's blue.
All right.
And I would like to move that, give like I said before, give everyone the opportunity to make some tighter language on that. So I would like that portion to be brought forward at June's meeting. So
you're
I want to
voting
stick.
as amended.
Yeah, as amended.
All right. So, okay, there's a motion by Van Dyne. There's a seconded by Trenier. We'll answer questions now. Do you have a question? Okay, go ahead, Member Trenier.
I apologize because I could not be at the caucus last night. Grandchildren. So we would just be passing this as it's written, and the blue part, which was here, is now stricken.
That's my
And
understanding.
then we're going to work on tighter language with some advice from the attorneys, because they always got to be involved, for the June meeting. But the rest of it would be as written.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure. Okay, I'm all good. I like the coin flip.
Member, okay.
So Joe, then I'm confused here a little bit. So this is amending the ordinance and everything is being replaced here, or just what's read?
This ordinance presented to us has been updated from 1992. So we will be voting on this new ordinance. I would say it's been amended. But it is as is. But the blue section, I want to give an
Take that out.
opportunity, more opportunity to tighten up some language on that in June. So it is as you read.
But the black part is new too.
The black part is all new then?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So it's all new.
Well,
Because the original document we got was like all
I-
red.
Yeah, I was good. New from the ordinance that's currently in place, or new from what was presented to the executive committee? I think there's what do you mean by new?
So this is, the last ordinance was from 1992, so obviously something needs to change, right? And so then everything that we see in black is changing what it was?
Yeah, correct. It is. And then that was what was presented to the executive committee, was in black. And then additional changes after it came out from executive committee are in red and blue.
Okay.
So, just to be clear.
Okay, so then my next question is, with this, the way it's written, does it prohibit somebody who would be a non-union shop if they were following all the rules to apply?
No,
It would not
No.
prohibit them. So this is just make sure that they're doing OSHA and everything that they should, but
Correct.
they could be a non-union shop and still qualify for a bid if their bid was accepted.
correct.
Yeah, but it talks about you have the apprenticeship.
Member, Leader Richmond?
Thank you. So I'm all for us updating our things, especially if it's from 1992. I guess the question is I always like to pull a cake out of the oven when it's fully done. And in this case here, I'd like to have it, let's just do it once and get it over with. So, I mean, I'm not trying to be a pain, but at the same token too, is there any pressing issue that if we do it today versus next month?
Thank you. Good question. And I know in executive, we talked about our bids are becoming much tighter. Bid 3 weeks ago is within $2. A bid 2 weeks ago, the second and third places were tied at a $2.2 million bid. And then something else that's in here that's going to help us is subcontractor language. And so we had an issue as recently as 48 hours ago where there was a potential unauthorized subcontractor on a job that we then had to sort out and deal with, which would be eliminated when they have to register their subs previous to starting work on the project.
So did you say that numbers 2 and 3 were tied?
Correct.
So number 1 was still a viable winning bid.
Number 1 was a viable bid, but we are just seeing more and more tighter bids. And so we want to have language in place to make sure that we are doing everything possible to limit liability on the county for procurement.
Mr. Richmond too, I'm going to add to that. And I shared this yesterday. I don't know if we're in differing opinions here. I don't know if we'll ever come to an agreement on the local control piece too. That is, we are debating that. We have different lawyer opinions on that one. So that's why, because we had talked to the speaker regarding whether or not we just hold it as well, but we do not know if we'll come to an agreement on that piece. So at least you'll have this language in there.
Ah. Okay.
I mean, yeah, I guess,
This might be the final.
yeah. I mean, a dollar's a dollar and your low bid is low bid, so a dollar wins. And I guess I mean, you see it all the time. Well, I shouldn't say you see it all the time. It sounds as though it's happening occasionally, and I don't see that would be that big of a deal if it's 2 people are tied at number 2 and number 3. I don't know.
I mean, significant because then when you do, if you had a bid where you had a tie disqualifications, and then you're obviously going to be exposed to liability as to how you drew those disqualifications up. So this language we feel is necessary to update what we've been operating off of to help avoid any liability on those issues. And the location preference, we had some members bring up great points at executive. Member Butler brought up some very good points. Member Oxley brought up some good points. And so we're just going to keep exploring that issue and hopefully bring something back on that in June that's workable within the parameters of the county procurement laws of the state.
All right.
Member Berkowitz.
Thank you, Madam Executive. So I guess I'm just confused and I need to make sure I understand this correctly. Does this, as it's written, does it allow non-union county companies to bid?
Yeah, that's been asked and answered, yes.
Okay, so any
That-
company can submit a bid even if they're non-union?
Correct.
Okay. And they wouldn't be required, and with subcontractors, if it's a union company that wins the bid, but they hire a subcontractor, does that subcontractor also have to be union or not?
Well, usually if it's a union company, they're not going to hire
They
a
will.
subcontractor
Okay.
that's not union, yeah.
Thank you.
Member Ortiz? Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that there's a Scrivener error in the 3rd paragraph in the 2nd line. And timely completion of projects are not necessarily insured. It should say insured. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, what's? Why don't you repeat so we have it on? Oh, I turned you off too, sorry. No, I'm using the wrong one. That's the problem.
So whereas the County of Will, the 3rd paragraph, has determined the quality of workmanship, efficient operation, safety, and timely completion of projects that are not necessarily insured by awarding a contract, it should say insured, E-N.
Right.
No, we're talking about ensuring that it happens. We're making sure.
We've noted it. Thank
Okay,
you. You're right.
thank you
Yeah,
so
you're
much.
actually. Yeah. We have, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to match numbers. Member Butler.
So I just want to be clear, and I know the question has been asked, but sometimes, the answers could be a little misleading. Only union companies will meet these requirements. Only union companies. There's no private company that I know of that could meet all these requirements. And this is for all work through Public Works, because the only thing they left out of here that wasn't included was chicken catcher. I'm pretty sure. Because it pretty much covers everything. And again, only union. So I'm just, I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm just saying there's no way any non-union company would ever be able to meet these requirements.
Member Oxley.
I have to agree with Mr. Butler. On page 4, paragraph J, it's about the Department of Labor apprenticeship successor organizations. The unions comply with that, the non-union companies don't, because they don't have the availability to that because of their apprenticeship programs. City of Joliet has a variance in their ordinance. It's a cap for non-union companies to pay prevailing wage and follow the benefit programs up to $50,000. This strictly throws any non-union company out of this. And as far as the credit towards local contractors, I think that's a great thing, but we can't have a 50-mile radius. We'd be having every city of Chicago contractor here. We should look at something of putting the Will Grundy Contractors Association in that. Because they're members here. There are residents. There are people. Spend money with the people that spend money with us. I think we should table this for today till we get every answer clarified and vote on it one time.
Thank you. Member Trenier.
Yeah, just a follow up. The first document we got was all red or darn near. So what you're stating is that once it passed an executive, it became black, like we already passed it. And so these are just the changes that were made after executive committee. And I thought that was the blue part, but you're telling me both the red and the blue are from after executive committee. Okay, I just want to make sure I understood. And if I heard correctly from Mike, what he's looking for is for us to pass this today because there's a chance that that blue section can't be ironed out and discussed.
Well, I said that. That,
Yeah.
to be fair, that was
Oh,
my
sorry,
statement.
your statement. That's okay. I just want to make sure that I understood what we were looking at. There may be a chance that we can't come up with anything for local preference. And so then it would just stand as we have it. Okay, thank you.
Member Dean Schlottman.
Yes, to what Mr. Oxley said about it being only, union companies would be able to do this. There's a lot of very well-trained veterans that come out of military service who start businesses that are capable of doing public work projects. And so I guess we're just going to overlook all of the veterans who are trying to get to work. I have an issue with it, making it, so we can't allow other entities to bid for that because they may not have been union, but I know for a fact that they have been trained very well in what they do. So I have a hard time looking at this thinking that, well, I guess we're just going to overlook veterans organizations.
Member Balich.
I want to make a motion to table this or postpone it, whichever is the right word, for a month.
We have a motion to table the postponed, or which one you want to do? What did you say? I'm sorry.
Motion to you want to call it table?
I'm going to go.
Motion to table or postpone, whatever's the right word, for 1 month to bring the whole thing back when it's completed.
We have a motion to postpone the amended resolution, right, till next month. That's correct. It will go right back to the board then, right? Yeah.
Do you want to postpone it or do you want to send it back to committee for more work?
We'll send it back to committee.
Okay, so we have a motion to refer it back to committee. We have a second by Member Butler. If you could turn your lights off, unless you're going to talk on this item, we're going to take a vote to postpone it back to committee, put it back to committee. Go ahead, you're on, sir, Mr. Van Dyne.
Oh, thank you. I respect your opinion on trying to ask for a table to get some more information. But like you had mentioned, the sections that are removed with the local preferences, there might not be an answer in the very near future. So I would prefer to at least go along with the responsible bidder. So I'm hoping that the board members are ready to vote on it today.
Okay, all the folks with the light are talking about the tabling. Okay, member Dean Schlottman.
Respectfully, as a teacher, when I want an assignment, I want a complete assignment. I do not want part of it. I do not want it turned in later. I do not want a portion of it. So I can't support going forward with something that is partially complete. I would give my student an incomplete or a 0 until it was complete. So I want a complete ordinance before I can vote yes or no.
Thank you. Member Berkowitz on the tabling.
I would like this whole thing to go back to committee because
That's what we're voting on.
And the reason why is because I asked a question, does this eliminate the ability for non-union companies to bid? I was told, no, it does not. And now I've heard that item K creates a burden and sometimes an impossibility for companies that are not union owned. And for that reason, that contradicts the answer I was given. So I'd like more information. I want to make sure that whatever we pass, we are not excluding the tax-paying corporations and businesses in this county that deserve to have an opportunity, an equal opportunity to bid on our jobs. So I'm asking that people consider that we at least bring it back to committee and let's allow people to have a conversation. Thank you.
Member Oxley on the tabling.
Yes, and I would request that we look at the city of Joliet's ordinance for this also to include small contractors. Because typically most of our projects are large projects, but this excludes small contractors on any small project. Item J does and stuff of that nature. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Butler on the tabling.
On the postponing, on tabling, there is no discussion. Just so everybody knows, there would
We're
be
going
no,
back to committee.
there would be no discussion if it was being tabled. Okay, the importance here is, if there is any part of this that you would like to have tweaked at all, it would be better to refer back to committee. That gives us an opportunity to have this thing tailored to the way we want it. Moving forward with this as is basically saying we're not going to do anything else, because that's exactly what will happen, just as a matter of habit. It's very hard after this gets done to bring it up and to have things added. So if you are concerned about having anything tweaked, this is the best opportunity to have that happen.
Member Bullock.
What committee are we referring this back to?
It would be executive. That's where it started.
And then the executive committee would have conversations in their next committee meeting at some point to go through this language, or?
Presumptually, yeah. I don't run the committees.
Yes, who's in charge of?
This is what we're voting on. Some people want it to go, so this is what we're voting on.
Right, I
Take it
just
back.
want it, but if we're referring this to the committee, I want to know what committee it's going to, and I want to know if the work is going to then be done.
I'm going
for this to come back.
to let Speaker Van Dyne address that.
Yeah,
one.
if the board chooses at this moment to send it back to committee, it would be on the next agenda for discussion.
Hold on, don't yell out. Go ahead, finish your follow-up.
So then what is the process for getting information to the executive committee for changes to this?
It's going to be presented as is next month, and then it'll be up for discussion for the committee members to make them changes, and then staff will be directed to rewrite it if we pass it to full board. Does that make sense?
Member Butler.
Yeah, so I guess technically, when they refer back to committee, you should specify which committee. I personally thought that since it's an ordinance, that it went back to the ordinance committee and then given to the executive, and it goes through that process. The ordinance committee is actually the committee that actually does the group think or whatever and hashes it out and then presents their best version back to the executive committee, where it is further reviewed and decided whether or not it's ready for the county board agenda.
Well, we are voting on it in the executive committee right now. It's in the executive committee. So that when you said to refer it back to committee, the natural assumption is the committee it's in. And that's, he did not make a clarification. So he would have had been a responsibility. And again, we're in the executive committee too. So, and this is where he's placed it. Yeah. All right. I think we have everyone. Oh, I didn't see you there.
Member Bullock, I think I understood what you were saying. And if there's anything that you would want any one of us to add, or if you attended or just told us what you wanted, added, we'd be more than willing to bring your thoughts with us. If you're not on that committee, I can't. But if you need it, just tell us and we'll present your stuff.
You
Right.
can attend. You can.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So now we are voting on referring it back to committee. Madam Clerk, please take, this is referring back to committee. We're voting on. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Richmond? Williams? No. Jean Schlottman? Yes. Ogala? Pretzel? Butler? Yes. Newquist? No. Balich? Yes. Oxley? Yes. Brooks? No. Winfrey? Bullock? Logan? Yes. Freeman? Mitchell? Ortiz? Yes. Berkowitz? Yes. Hickey? No. Costa? Rainier? Van Dyne?
No.
No. So now we are back at the original amendment. So we have a motion and a second. And is there any further discussion on the amendment, which is removing the local preference language? All right, Madam, Member Ogala, this is,
So
yeah.
so I have a question for Mary. So I agree with removing the blue for further discussion. That's good. My question is, if I wanted to make a motion to amend something else, would I amend the motion to amend to include removing the blue and what I'd like to have? I'm not sure what the order should be.
It sounds like she wants.
All right, so there's a motion to amend on the floor right now.
Mhm.
I think we have to get through that motion I guess you could add a further amendment. It just seems like we're piling on. I just don't want to lose
It's an
track of
easy
what's
amendment.
happened.
It'd be an
Okay.
easy amendment. Okay.
All right.
So I'd like to make a motion to amend this resolution, or is it an ordinance, to keep the blue out as it is, and also to remove J from page 4, to remove that, to ensure that we are able to have any competent company apply, that's a small business company, a small company that does not have this apprenticeship program, because that does disqualify all companies that are non-union. So while a non-union company could go ahead and apply, they would be disqualified because they're not going to satisfy J. So I'd like to make the motion to remove the blue and paragraph J.
We don't have to remove the blue. It's just what, yeah, so.
Okay, then
with
make
this
the motion
remove
to amend
J.
to
You
remove
want-
J.
Okay, so we have a motion to remove J and then a seconded by Berkowitz. Is there any discussion on the removal of J? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Richmond? Williams? No. Jean Schlottman? Ogala? Butler? Newquist? Bailage, Oxley, Brooks, Winfrey, Bullock, Logan, Freeman, Mitchell, Ortiz, Berkowitz, Hickey, Costa, Rainier, Van Dyne.
No.
No. With 11 negative, the motion fails. We're back to the original amendment. Any discussion on the original amendment? Madam Clerk, please call, or we can do a previous. Is there going to be any changes? So you want to do a previous roll call?
No, because I want to be a yes.
Okay, all right. Oh, that's true. What am I thinking? Yeah. What am I thinking? Yeah, sorry. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Yeah.
Richmond,
This is approving as Joe presented it, yeah, as Speaker Joe.
no. Williams, Dean Schlottman, O'Gala, Butler, Newquist, Bailage, Oxley, Brooks, Winfrey, Bullock, Logan, Freeman, Mitchell, Ortiz, Berkowitz, Hickey, Costa, Rainier, Van Dyne.
Yes.
Yes. 11 in the affirmative, the motion carries.
Okay, next executive committee meeting is scheduled for Thursday, June 12th, 2025. We do have appointments by the county